Hi everybody, welcome to this crash course in responsive web design. Today we're going to explore a responsive grid system supplied by W3CSS. Before we get into that, I just want to quickly go over responsive web design. Here is a very basic looking web page. It looks great on my big monitor, but look what happens if I imagine looking at this on my small iPad mini. Let's just try and make a small screen size here. Now the problem is, on a smaller screen size, I have to do horizontal scrolling if I want to see all of the content. And that's really annoying and unfriendly way to design web pages. If we go to mrmoosey.com, on my big monitor, it looks pretty good. If I simulate what this looks like on a smaller device like an iPad mini, look what happens. The layout changes. It goes from this kind of grid system here with columns, column 1, column 2, column 3, to individual rows. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6. Each column becomes its individual row. And I don't have to do horizontal scrolling. I just have to do vertical scrolling. Okay, so this is responsive web design. Also, look what happens to my menu at the top here with the sign-in space. It collapses to be a hamburger menu. So maybe today, or maybe in a future tutorial, we'll look at how to make a hamburger menu using W3CSS. Okay, so let's just get into it, okay? By the way, I've created a project folder. I've already started to design a web page. Here it is, just the basic stuff. Hopefully you've already been studying HTML tags. If you haven't, you want to study that first. Now let's go to W3CSS. There it is. And let's just go to the intro page. I want to show you something. W3CSS is based on something known as the responsive grid. And you can divide your web page into rows. There's one row. And columns. There's 1, 2, 3 columns. And each column takes up a third of the row. In this row, the first column takes up half of the row, and the 2 more columns take up a quarter each, making a full row. Okay? So this is W3 School's grid system for responsive web design. And we're going to play with this today. Before we continue, let's just understand that W3 Schools offers you a 12-column grid. So each row has a maximum of 12 columns. So if this column is taking up a third of the row, it means it's taking up 4 of the column spaces. That takes up 4, that takes up 4, and that takes up 4. The total is 12. 4, 8, 12. With this row, this column takes up 6 because it's half of the row. So this is 6 of the spaces for this column, and this is 3, and this is 3. Now don't worry too much if your maths isn't good enough to figure some of that out. We'll be exploring this in today's session. Now to get started, let's go to W3CSS Home. We need to grab a very important file. It's W3's CSS file. Luckily for us, it's hosted on the internet at W3 School's domain, w3schools.com. It is a style sheet. Copy that link and paste it into your web page. into the head section. Okay, so it's in the head section. Now then, let's just go back to the intro. I want to go back to the grid system again, because I want to see if I can simulate something. Yeah, this is what I want to look at just for a moment. What I'm going to do in the body of my web page is try to create this grid system. 3 columns inside 1 row. So let's get started. I'm going to divide my web page into a W3 row, and don't forget to close it. And inside the row, I'm going to make 3 columns. So again, I'm dividing the row into 3 columns. So there's the first one. Let's just copy and paste. So this row has been divided into 3 columns, and inside each column I'm going to put an image. Now let's just see if I can remember what I called my images. Okay, image 1, image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4. I think they're .jpg, .jpg. Yes, okay, that's good. Now, because I'm doing responsive web design with W3 CSS, I'm going to add a class to each of the image tags. And it's really easy to remember. It's the W3 image class. So I'm going to copy that and paste another one into the second column. So there's my second column. It also has an image. Let's call that image 2. And now then, let's do another one. This is going to be image 3. So my row has 1, 2, 3 columns, and each column has an image, okay, with the W3 image class. Let's save that. Let's go into my project folder and let's open the web page. There it is. Oh, it didn't work. It didn't work. Why not? Oh, I forgot to tell the image or the column how many spaces to take up. Do you remember a third of 12 is 4. I want it to take up 4 spaces. So let's do that. This column here, it's the W3 col, but it's also L4. Take up 4 spaces. And I'm just going to use L for now. I'll explain that in a minute. And then L4, that's another 4 spaces. That's 8. We've used 8. We've got 4 left. L4. We've used up all of the 12 spaces in this row. The first column takes up 4 spaces. The second column takes up 4 spaces, and the third column takes up 4 spaces. Now let's save that and see if it fixed my problem. Yes! 4 spaces, 4 spaces, and 4 spaces. Now let's imagine we're looking at this on an iPad mini. Will we need to do any horizontal scrolling? No, we don't. Brilliant. That is brilliant. And on a bigger device, we can see everything perfectly. In fact, when I say bigger device, I mean large device. Another option is to design for medium devices. Let's see what happens if we do M instead of L. So for medium devices, we should be able to get down even smaller. It doesn't change yet. Oh, there you go. So that's the end of the medium devices, about this size. This and anything bigger will use the columns. When we get to small devices like this, the columns disappear. That's how it works, okay? In fact, let's show you that. Let's now do S. S, S, and S. We're designing for small devices and bigger. So let's save that and refresh the web page. This time, these columns will exist for small devices and anything bigger than that. So there's medium, it will follow the rule, and there's large. So small, medium, and large now follow the rule. Okay? So this is how to set up a row in W3 Schools. Before we stop today, we're not going to look at the hamburger menu today. We'll do that. I'm going to make a new row. We're designing for small devices. I'm going to change that to medium because I want to see the collapse happening. I'm going to design for medium devices. This is what it will look like on a medium device. It will use the columns. Small devices will not use the columns. Now let's just put in some text. And I'm just going to put in my own class. I'm going to make up my own class here. Oh no, we can use another W3 class. I think it's called W3 Center. So in the column, in this column, I'm going to use the W3 call class, the M4 class, and the W3 Center class. And I'm going to copy that, paste it into there. So we've got 2 rows, and each row has 3 columns. And we're designing for medium devices. Let's save and refresh the web page. Where is my web page? So it's centered, right? The problem with this design is when I go to go to small devices, everything changes. Okay, so you have to be careful when you're planning your design. And that's an introduction to W3 CSS responsive web design.